So, EA have just announced some huge news that F126 isn't going to happen. It's going to be F125 with a 2026 paid DLC update to the game with a big overhaul coming in 2027. Now, obviously, this is huge news, but I've got three main things to talk about. The first of which is why. Now, the first reason that springs to my mind is GTA 6. Now, obviously, we now know, I made a video about it recently, that GTA 6 is delayed and how that's potentially going to affect the F1 game. I think they potentially planned this before GTA 6 was delayed, thinking, what's the point in releasing a brand new game alongside such a big game? It's not going to work out. Now GTA 6 has been delayed, maybe they regret it, maybe it was too late and that decision had already been made. It's impossible to rule that out. Another reason could be that they want to completely overhaul the game engine. So there's been lots of calls recently for them to do that, to basically start from scratch with a new game engine. Personally, I don't think they need to do it because they have their own custom game engine that they're constantly updating, but maybe internally they've decided that's what they want to do. They last did this in 2015 though, and they released a pretty bare bones game in 2015. There wasn't a lot of features in it at all and have been slowly rebuilding ever since. So rather than do that, maybe they've decided, look, let's just go all in with a new game engine for 27 and want to do things completely differently. That's definitely possible. Another potential reason is that these rule changes are just too big. We've got the 2026 rule changes coming in next year, and they are big. It's the first time, possibly in forever, where the engine and chassis rules are changing at the same time. We don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know how quickly the car is going to evolve and change. Trying to release a game just a couple of months after these brand new cars get announced, even F1 teams don't know exactly the best way to run them, could be difficult, and they've decided, you know what? That's not possible. Either we delay it to later in the year, or maybe let's basically skip 26. That's another definitely possible reason. Another reason could be that F125 is just too popular. Now, it's fair to say the last couple of even-numbered games have not been very popular or well-reviewed. I'm looking at F124 and F122 in particular, but 25 is more popular. So take a look at these numbers that I've put together then. So this is a chart of the F1 game players per day from Steam. The reason I'm only using Steam is because it's got nice, easy data. The only thing you need to worry about here is that Steam is constantly growing. It's not like Steam declined any year. Every single year, Steam has more and more players. So in theory, the later games should always be better than the first games. But anyway, first of all, look at the day one line. So this is the release day number of players. Obviously, COVID times, it was doing really well. F122 did really well off the back of the hype of the previous games, and then everyone lost trust in EA effectively. And even though F123 was a better game than F122, the day one players, they'd already lost the players. Obviously, F125 has reversed that trend. It's back over where F123 was. It's the best day one game since F122. And if you look at the averages as well, that tells another story, that F122 was well sold day one, but then the averages are really low as people realized it wasn't a very good game. And then F125's averages are once again back up to sort of F122 levels, which isn't quite COVID levels, but it's still pretty good. And then if you look at the peak, that includes the free weekend they've been doing for the last several years in a row. And that basically gives you an idea of the sort of 6 month in hype of the game. You know, everyone at that point is used to it. They've seen people like me make videos on it. They've seen all the reviews come out, yada, yada, yada. It's also discounted. Obviously, it's free over that weekend, but it's discounted thereafter as well. So that kind of gauges just sort of longer term interest. And look at the difference there. It's back up to COVID levels of interest in F125. They've seen that free weekend do that well and gone, well, if we're going to do this, now is a good time. We don't want to do it on an F124 or whatever level where the hype just isn't quite there. The hype is there for F125. Let's keep that hype going through to 2027 when we're going to do a big overhaul. Another potential reason, which I'll get into a little bit deeper in a bit, is that this is just a smart long-term overhaul. Maybe they've wanted to move to a 2-year system for a while. Games are taking longer and longer to develop. Just look at GTA or even like Gran Turismo, whatever you want to look at. Games take longer to develop than they ever have done before. Maybe a yearly release cycle just isn't really possible. And that's evidenced by the fact that we get a story mode every other year, not every year. So they've basically decided, well, look, rather than adding story in 1 year, then removing it the next year, then adding it the next year, why not just do a game every 2 years? That'll have a brand new story every single time. We can do a bigger overhaul every 2 years, bigger overhaul to the physics, bigger overhaul to game modes, you know, and it's a much bigger release that they can really concentrate on, which honestly, I've actually kind of been calling for, despite the fact that a new game every year will, in theory, be a bit worse for me as a full-time F1 content creator. it is in theory a good thing for development. And then of course, just in the in-between years, just releasing a kind of update just so that you've got some content for that F1 year, which again, honestly, to me, it makes sense. And I think any of those reasons, probably honestly, all of those reasons apply to some extent. Only EA will know internally which of those reasons is the main driving factor. But I think, honestly, they all make so much sense that if you look at all of them, you go, okay, it probably is just all of them combined. Now, that's enough of the reasons. Let's get on to the F1 26 patch itself, which is going to be an update, a paid DLC for F1 25. First of all, what won't it have? Well, it won't have any major new game modes. This isn't a new game. Don't expect the level of change we've seen over the last few years. Don't expect a brand new career mode or a addition to story mode or a completely overhauled anything. It's just not going to happen. Otherwise, this would be a full game. There's a reason it's a paid DLC. It will, of course, be cheaper because of that as well. Don't expect basically, if it's looking like the sort of change that they'd normally advertise for a full year release, don't expect it in this game. But what will it have? Definitely. Well, it's going to have the liveries of the car at the very least, and it's also going to have any driver changes that we get for next year as well. Though, I think that is all that is guaranteed. Again, this isn't confirmed, but, that's the only thing that we can 100% rely on, and let's just pray that it's more than that. But in terms of more than that, what could be included? Well, it's an interesting time to do this. Because of the 2026 overhaul, it's not like we're going from 24 to 25, where the cars have evolved, but they've not really been overhauled in any way. It's a massive rule change, actually. We've got new engines, we've got new chassis, we've got different rule set, no DRS, for example, active aero. There's loads of stuff there. Will we get any of that? I mean, I feel like you can't release an F1 26 update without having at least some of that, surely. Surely you can't just have 2026 liveries on 2025 cars with DRS still, with the same ERS systems, with no active aero. They might, if they want to do the bare minimum, they might just do liveries, but surely we get more than that. But equally, I don't think it'll be a complete overhaul that perfectly represents the new rule set. Let's hope we do get some kind of active aero. Let's hope we do get an overhauled ERS and engine system, which I've done myself as a mod. So they should be able to overhaul the engine system largely. But beyond that, I mean, what more will we get? Will we get any physics changes? I suspect we'll get maybe some physics tweaks, but I don't think we'll get any physics overhaul. So if you like the feel of the F1 25 game, 26 will probably feel quite similar. I don't think they'll change anything significant in the physics, just minor tweaks here and there, maybe. Tracks and the calendar. I mean, if it's a 26 title update, surely we're going to be getting, any potential new tracks next year. I don't think there is any new tracks next year, but will they update any of the tracks? I suspect so. Because in theory, if they're updating some tracks, because they've still got a tracks team at the end of the day, regardless of how many games they release, they may as well put that updated track in next year's game. So if they're working on, let's just say they're working on, I don't know, the Australian GP circuit right now, they may as well put it in the patch next year rather than hold it back for 2027, unless there's bigger changes under the skin that I'm not aware of. But at the end of the day, just don't expect a massive overhaul. Don't expect this to be F1 26 on F1 25. It's not going to happen. So as much as I hope that we do get some reasonable rule change, physics updates to at least somewhat match the 2026 cars, it's not guaranteed. Don't expect ginormous, massive changes because it's surely going to be cheaper than a full game anyway. This is, at the end of the day, a patch. It's a big, paid-for game patch. That's what it is, effectively. It's DLC, is obviously what we all know it as. But what does it need to be, in my opinion? What does this need to be in order for it to be a success, either just for F1 26 or potentially for every other year after F1 26? What could they put in the patch to make this actually a positive change? Because I believe it can be a positive change, but they need to get this right. First of all, they have to get community members involved. If they just go out and do this on their own and just update the liveries and go, yeah, there you go, 20 quid, updated liveries, couple of updated tracks, enjoy, it will be hated and it will be a big flop. However, if they get creators, esports drivers, other community members, members of the press, random consultants, get all these people together, to really dig deep and see what the community wants. What do people want in F1 25? And then charge them the DLC in order to put that in the game. I think that can be really, really positive. And I think people will buy into that. Imagine an update that has taken all of those areas, you know, that your favorite content creators, your favorite esports drivers and prominent forum members, all of those guys, they know what the people want. Imagine getting all of what they want that's achievable into a patch and charging, I don't know, 20 quid for it. That would be really, really popular. So in particular, what could they do? Well, again, please EA, do reach out to me and many other people. Please work with us on this because I think it can work. You've got to get us involved. First of all, I think my team needs an update. And we're not expecting an overhaul here. This is a DLC, it's a patch. But my team has no longevity. I have got a video coming up soon once I've finally finished my season 4 of my My Team catering career. So in my team, the AI controlled rival teams, they topped out of performance updates after about 2 to 3 seasons. That was it. There is no longevity right now in my team. If you just tweak things, just the availability of when certain upgrades are available, the cost of certain things, the pace of the upgrades, possibly even add a couple new options to be able to let the player adjust all these kind of things, then suddenly there's much more longevity to My Team career mode. That would be a big update. Not an overhaul, but just tweaking the numbers of the existing My Team career mode and we can make it better. We can give it some longevity, but you've got to get people involved. Let's play it for many seasons. I'm in season 4. I know what I'm talking about by My Team longevity. Also online mode. Obviously, again, we're not expecting an overhaul here, but elimination mode, it already exists in the game. Allow that as an option for open lobbies, for custom lobbies. The penalty system that's currently exclusive to elimination mode, allow us to do that as well. Give us other options. Allow us to permanently disable DRS as an option for Grand Prix mode and for open lobbies. Allow us to force everybody onto a certain tyre, something like that. Allow us to do more so that we can, as this gets into almost 2 years after it's been originally released in 2027, we still can do things on the game. We can still have fun the game because we've got a few more options. Again, I'm not talking about completely adding a brand new penalty system here. I'm talking about using the existing one in elimination mode and give us the option to play around with it. They've shown that they can move when the DRS gets activated recently with the survival mode. It gets activated lap 1. Allow DRS to get activated or not, disable or enable, even which lap it gets activated on. Any options like that that are easy to do in the game, give us access to those. But again, ask us. We know what will create longevity in the game. Now, another big one is AI. They're not going to make massive change to the AI. It's a patch. But AI has to be faster. I've been saying this for years. They've not been listening so far. AI has to be faster. I can win races. In fact, I will probably win the championship driving around in a Sauber with no upgrades. That's wrong. And look, okay, I'm half decent at the game, but this isn't just me this applies to. Many people win races when they shouldn't be winning them. All you got to do, allow us 120 level AI. That's it. That's it. It's needed though because of longevity reasons. Right now AI is almost unplayable because they're too slow, especially at certain tracks. Allow us 120 AI. Do exactly what you do between level 100 and level 110, which is primarily take weight off the AI's cars, and do it more up to 120. That's it. That's it. It needs to happen. It should be possible. That needs to happen. And finally, my final idea that I've got for now, but there'll be many more if EA do want to get me involved as a consultant. Fix the long-term bugs. Obviously, I'm sure some of the bugs are a bit baked in. That's probably why they're overhauling for 2027, which we'll get onto in just a second. But some of these bugs have been in the game for a very long time and need fixing, and probably are entirely fixable. Couple that I've not even got any notes of any bugs, but couple that have just come to my brain just off the top of the dome, right? First of all, weather. For future sessions, the icons for the weather forecast gets copied from your current session. It doesn't actually predict future sessions. So if you've got a qualifying session right now that's raining, 100% chance of rain, and all the weather icons say raining. If you look at the race, the percentage chance of rain could be 0%, but the icons will be the same as quali. Rain, 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 rain. It makes no sense. Small bug, needs updating. Another one that I've just thought of is they've now added to this year's game the option to look at the sprint race results in the results screen in career mode. Brilliant, except for it doesn't actually show the sprint race results. It actually shows the Grand Prix mode results. Absolutely insanely stupid. It makes absolutely no sense. Those are just some bugs I just thought of off the top of my head. But one final thing that I want to mention that I really hope gets included is changes to Slipstream. We know that Dirty Air has been made stronger this year. Overall, I think they've got a really good game this year, including everything, not just physics, everything. I think it's a solid game. But Slipstream, we just need increased Slipstream. We need Slipstream ideally to be more powerful the closer you get to the car in front, but now we're talking about physics changes. But we need more powerful Slipstream, even if it's just a case of just turning the Slipstream number up a little bit, but keeping the current way of working, which is the same number of Slipstream whether you're right behind a car or a second back from a car. But if you just turn the Slipstream up a little bit, just increase that number a little bit, that will improve the racing in the game. Just ideally want it a bit more overhaul than that, but if I could just make one little request, it's definitely that, just to improve the racing a little bit. But as I said, they have to get people like me involved. They have to get people that represent the community, people that have played the game significantly, they've got hundreds of hours in, get us involved, and I really think this can be really, really, really positive. Make it a community update. Make it an update of the biggest requests from the community, add some updated cars, updated drivers, charge 20, 30 quid, whatever it's going to be. It'll be massively successful because it'll be things people genuinely want. But please do get people like me involved. But looking ahead then to F1 27. Again, details are very scarce, but basically they've said it's just going to be a massive overhaul and a sort of quite a changed experience, which sounds quite exciting to me. But the thing I want to talk about first is this going to become commonplace? Is it just a one-off that we're missing F1 26 and making it DLC only? Or are we going to get an F1 title now every 2 years consistently? Obviously, we don't know yet. Even EA may not know yet. I think it will probably depend how the F1 26 patch or DLC goes down. I think that could be a positive change. I think if they do it right and make the interim patch a really exciting patch that genuinely adds some exciting content that people are wanting to pay for other than just livery changes, I think it can be a really good thing. So honestly, for me, fingers crossed, despite being an F1 content creator that gains when there's a game every year, you know, by having more views and more hype, I do think every 2 years is potentially the right way to go with how complex game development is these days. That probably also means we're going to get a new story mode if they go down that route every single game, which to me sounds quite exciting. Every 2 years, a brand new thing. Will they add new chapters with a DLC patch? I covered this earlier, but I don't think they will for F1 26, but maybe let's say if F1 28 becomes a DLC, we're talking a long way away now, do they add a little bit of story, just like a little extra chapter, almost like an extra episode? Like imagine a series, a TV series, a season, and then they hold back like a final episode, but it's an extra episode rather than they hold back the finale of the story mode for the DLC. That could be quite a cool way of doing it. Obviously, we're hoping it'll be cheaper for the player as well. Overall, if they do go every 2 years, you know, I'm sure obviously the main games like F1 25 and F1 27 will be the normal price, 50 odd quid, 50, 60 quid. But if the interim one is only 30 quid, if you're the sort of person that buys the game every single year, providing the DLC is worthwhile, then overall it's cheaper. We are going to have to give less money to EA to have effectively a yearly F1 game. So in theory, that's a good thing. It also makes us less likely to get potential duds. You know, I talked about it at the start, but the F1 22, F1 24s, are they because they, you know, maybe the even number teams maybe are for some reason not as good as the odd number teams because they do have different development teams internally? I don't think that's very likely, but it means they get a bit longer to work on it. F1 24, for example, was the result of a new handling designer coming in and effectively just running out of time. I literally said to them, and I've covered this before, I said to them in a private email, pre-release, guys, F1 24 handling is not right. I think there's potential in this handling. Keep working on it for F1 25, but for F1 24, you need to revert to F1 23 handling with tweaks because F1 24 handling is not good. I was absolutely right. But if they give them another year, as in release the game every other year rather than every year, suddenly we have F1 25 handling, which although some of you may still prefer F1 23, it's certainly decent, right? I think we can all agree that even if it's not what you personally want, it's decent. It's a lot better than F1 24, and I actually went recently back to play F1 24 and was shocked how bad it was. But yeah, that's the main updates. The one final thing I want to touch on is the announcement, which I thought was pretty poor, to be honest. This is a ginormous change. Whether it's a long-term change or not, we don't know. I think this can be a positive change, and I think there can be a lot of hype around this. But all they did was just on a random day in November, just go, hey guys, 26 is going to be DLC. We've got a big game coming in 27. That's basically all they've said. They told 2 creators in advance, as far as I can gather. That was just Arav and Tombina. That was it. They told a couple of media in advance. But I think this is quite poorly managed. I think what they should have done is got a load of us in a few weeks ago and gone, guys, this is what we're thinking. What would you like in the game? What would you like in the DLC? We say this, this, this. They go, okay, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. And then release a video hyping up, guys, F1 26 is not a game, it's a DLC, but here's what's coming. Start the hype early. Start the hype early. And then everyone's going, oh, cool. Right, we're going to get this and this and this in the game. That sounds cool. I'm really excited for that. Suddenly, it's positive. Instead of just releasing some text on a screen with only 2 people in getting early access, seems a bit odd to me, which is strange because EA are basically a behemoth of a marketing company. They're a very, very big and good marketing company. So a bit of a strange announcement this, but yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. That's how they announced it, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I'm sure the commentary on this will rumble on as we start to get more information, but that is my first thoughts on it. That is my first kind of conclusions on it, and you know, me from a sort of development point of view of what could and could not happen. But look, I think this can be a positive thing, but they have to make it a positive thing. They can't just dribble out a couple of liveries, charge 20 quid and call that a day. If they make it a community update, community driven, DLC is very exciting. And I think hopefully you can all agree. Fingers crossed, guys. Fingers crossed. Anyway, guys, catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.